John Varvatos has finally entered the Elixir game, so let's find out if it's actually any good. What's up guys, Hunter here and welcome back to Fragrance Hunter. Hope you're all doing great. Today we are reviewing the newest fragrance from the house of John Varvatos, and I've always actually kind of been a fan of this house, especially during my early days when they used to make bangers like Dark Rebel Rider, Artisan Peer, but I believe all three of those are completely discontinued. Because to be honest, they used to be a master at making both fresh fragrances with the Artisan line and very dark kind of daring fragrances with like the Dark Rebel line. And obviously they have so many other fragrances as well. I do own Oud, which is also discontinued. Of course, the original John Varvatos, vintage, etc, etc. But today we are talking about XX Elixir, which like I said is brand new. And I swear, it seems like now every single designer brand has an Elixir flanker, and if they don't, you better believe they're going to be coming out with one very, very soon. And I also believe that this fragrance is celebrating the 25th anniversary for John Varvatos as well. So I'm not sure if this will be like a limited edition release or not. Now, I also did receive this bottle for review, but obviously I'm still going to keep it honest with you guys. As always, you already know the drill. Now let's run down some information. Now this was of course launched in 2025. So like I said, it's brand new, hot off of the shelves. For the retail price on the only size this one comes in, which is the 75 ml, is going to run you $165, guys. Yeah, you heard that correct. 165 bucks for a John Varvatos fragrance in the only 75 ml size it comes in. And most of the John Varvatos at retail go for under 100 bucks for the 75 ml. So this is very expensive, and I would even say maybe even overpriced. But of course, you already know this will most likely hit discounter sometime very, very soon. But it is by far the most expensive John Varvatos to date. The concentration with this, I believe, is an extrait de parfum. You would expect that to be, especially if it's called an elixir. So you're probably getting upwards of 30% oils, which is always very potent. And for the perfumer, it is the man himself, Rodrigo Flores Roques, who's made so many fragrances for John Varvatos and knows exactly what he's doing. And to be honest, I'm a huge fan of so many of his fragrances that he's made. But besides that, with all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you get with XX Elixir now. So take a look at this box, which is going to be your generic John Varvatos box, very similar to pretty much every single one of them besides the Oud one. But you do have, of course, the crown right here, XX John Varvatos Elixir 2.5 ounce 75 ml bottle. On the bottom, you got your barcode and batch code to authenticate a product to see when it was produced, as well as all your ingredients on the back, and then nothing up top. Like I said, very kind of basic box. Let's look at the bottle now. All right, take a look at this bottle, which is somewhat basic in and of itself. Usually, John Varvatos goes way out of the box with the bottles with like tinsels, things hanging off, etc. But this one does have this kind of gold crown plaque on front of the bottle. On the bottom, you got your sticker with the information as well as a batch code. Nothing on the back of it. On top, you got XX John Varvatos. The cap is metal and pretty heavy, so I'll give them that. Nothing on top of the atomizer, and it does hold in by friction, not that tight, so be careful. In the top, you're gonna find bergamot, davana, red ginger, and violet leaf. In the mid, you got black iris, Damascus rose, geranium, and rum. And in the base, you got cedarwood, labdanum, leather, and tonka beans, and this will be classified as an aromatic spicy. So let's spray this and test out these atomizers. That's what you're gonna get with the atomizer, guys. Honestly, one of the worst atomizers I've used in quite some time. Not a fan of that at all, but it's not the biggest deal. So let's go ahead and remind myself of the brand new XX Elixir, and you already know, I'll let you do the first sniff. So right away, this one does open up very green. You're gonna get this kind of citrusy, crisp bergamot immediately behind this kind of earthy, bitter green davana note. Like I said, very green, punchy, kind of sharp opening from XX Elixir. But what makes this one stand out even more in the opening at least is that note called red ginger, which I've never seen before. I actually had to look it up, and it actually looks like some kind of flower, to be honest. And it's almost like a sweet, slightly spicy take on ginger, much sweeter, even maybe possibly even more potent with the aroma that it gives off. And that's kind of what I like about John Varvatos, guys. They kind of step out of the box, use very different, unique notes in most of their fragrances, which is always cool. And I also got to give them credit because most of the time they always come out with their unique kind of fragrances, never really a twist on anything, never really inspired by anything else. And this one's still the same case, guys. Very unique stuff. The opening is very decent, kind of captivating, and kind of has a seductive feel to it. But is it really worth $165? Man, that's kind of hard to tell if I'm being honest. I will say though, the last couple times I've worn this one, tested it, I really did enjoy the way this one opens up. Because like I said, you're gonna get this citrusy bergamot, very green, earthy, kind of bitter gabanna, mixed together with this slight sweet, spicy red ginger note, which is very unique. Now, as we start transitioning into the mid of XX Elixir is by far probably my favorite part, because you're gonna get this very boozy, dark rum, and man, and John Varvatos know what they're doing when it comes to like boozy rum notes, and they nailed it with this fragrance, guys. I love the mid. Now, alongside that rum, you're gonna get this kind of rosy geranium. Now, geranium, like I said when I reviewed Prada Paradigm, I said that might be like the new trend-setting note, kind of like orange blossom. So you're gonna get a heavy dose of geranium in the mid of this, with this very luxurious, sophisticated black iris note, kind of powdery, a little bit waxy as well. And I don't know what it is, but most of the time when you see an Elixir flanker, it usually has iris thrown into it, guys. I can think of so many designer elixirs that have iris. And I mean, I see where they're coming from, because iris always adds a elegant, kind of high class, very luxury vibe to any fragrance, and it definitely does in here. But they classified it as black iris. Now, I'm not really sure the differences between the two, maybe a little bit darker, but think of something like Amouage's Interlude Black Iris Flanker, maybe in the same realm as that when it comes to that note alone. So iris lovers, you will enjoy this one, even though I won't say the iris is the main show of the DNA at all. I would say more like the boozy rum is. And then once you finally make your way into the base, which does take some time, you're gonna of course get this very woody kind of cedarwood base just to balance it out and round off the entire composition, mixed together with this very rugged, earthy leather note, which is very dominant in the dry down, even overtaking the cedarwood, guys. It has a nice leathery base, which also John Varvatos is a master at leather fragrances like Dark Rebel. So all in all, I will give them credit. This is actually a pretty nice release. It might be one of my new favorite fragrances from the house of John Varvatos, and I do own quite a few, probably close to 10 fragrances from the brand. And for being a new John Varvatos fragrance, this one's definitely higher up on the list. I enjoy this one, but is it really worth $165? Probably not, guys. Wait until this one hits discounters for much less, and you're gonna be getting one heck of a fragrance. So for the best seasons to rock XX Elixir, I'm primarily wearing this one in the cold weather, fall and winter strictly. I won't really reach for this during like the summer or the springtime like at all, guys. It gives me cold weather vibes without a doubt. Anytime I'm kind of dressing cozy, like in a nice kind of pea coat, trench coat, a hoodie, a nice pair of jeans or something like that, going outside when it's cold out, this is a perfect time to wear this fragrance. And for occasion, this one, being an elixir, it actually does give off more luxury, sophisticated vibes, probably coming from the iris note thrown in here. So yeah, definitely more formal rather than a casual leaning fragrance. Also has boozy notes in it, which usually leans towards that way anyway. So anytime you want to stand out, make a statement, and while you're dressing up a little bit classier, this will be a great compliment for you. You could still wear it as a casual fragrance, but for me personally, guys, far more formal than anything. For instance, if I'm going on a date night in the evening, this one's gonna be a great companion for me, and I will be confident while wearing it. Just because it does ooze like seductive, kind of sexy vibes about it, primarily coming from the booziness without a doubt, and that leather as well. Which women, from my experience, usually like a good boozy leather fragrance on a man, believe me, and this is gonna do that. Not really a fragrance you wanna spray on, going to like an office job, running errands, going to get some coffee or anything like that. It's more for kind of special occasions and special events. Might actually be one of the most kind of classy John Varvatoses they've ever made. And for gender, absolutely a masculine fragrance. I can never imagine a woman wearing this, or a woman that I would be attracted to while wearing something like this, guys. Very masculine, like one of the most masculine fragrances I've reviewed in quite some time as well. And John Varvatos is great at making like very ultra masculine scent profiles, and this one right here is no different. I don't know about you guys, maybe you like your lady to smell like rum, leather, green, aromatic, and spicy, but for me, nah, this one's definitely for the boys for sure. And for age groups, of course, this one's gonna be more on the mature side of things, having the booziness, having the dark side of things as well, guys. I don't really imagine somebody in their late teens or even really early 20s really liking a scent profile like XX Elixir personally. So I would say probably somebody like 25, 30, 40 and up really gravitating towards this DNA. I'm gonna be honest, when you think of a boozy rum fragrance, do you imagine somebody going to high school, going to college smelling like this? Probably not. You might walk in, your teacher's gonna think you've been drinking, or your professor's gonna think you're drunk or something like that. Now I'm kind of joking, it doesn't really smell like a drunkard or anything along those lines, but still, does have a booziness to it that people will absolutely detect. But me personally, I wear what I want, when I want, where I want. I do not give a crap what anybody thinks about my fragrance at all. And you guys should be the same, but obviously I'm still painting you guys a picture on what I really see picturing wearing this fragrance the best, which is a more mature audience. So wrapping the review off, talking on the performance you guys should expect to get from the Elixir John Varvatos. Now, of course, having an Elixir name, you expect like beast mode, 12 plus hours, very loud fragrance. Unfortunately though, guys, I got some bad news for you because you're gonna be let down if you have that expectations with this. From my longevity on testing on skin, I got around 6 hours, which is far below average for any kind of Elixir flanker by far. No Elixir flanker should perform 6 hours, guys. From an Elixir, I always have expectations for at least 12 hours of longevity on skin. This one's a huge letdown for me. And what's weird is I was trying to look at the concentration. Of course, Elixir, you think Extrait de Parfum, but it's not on the bottle. It's not on the box even. So I don't know if this is like an eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, or an extrait de parfum like it should be. But of course, I'm basing it off an extrait, especially while being an Elixir. But that actually happened not too long ago from a review of a fragrance that was called an Elixir, but it was actually an eau de parfum. So hey, this could be the same case. Because between me and you, it definitely kind of performs like an EDT or an EDP, and I'm hugely disappointed in it, guys. So you're gonna have to spray your clothes to get maybe around 8, possibly 10 hours of longevity on the high end of things, but still far below average. And it seems like that's always been the case with John Varvatos. They make great scent profiles, out of this world, very unique stuff that are dark as well, and they, for some reason, they just do not perform. And I'm not even just talking about like the freshie like Artisan Pure, which you'll get like 4 hours from. I'm talking like dark stuff that still perform below average. I can't think of one very strong John Varvatos. So John Varvatos, if you're watching this, you guys got this scent profile down packed with a check. You just need to work on the performance because I don't know what's going on. And that's also another reason why I don't really think this one's going to be worth retail at $165 because the performance is a little bit of a letdown. Now, when it comes to the projection, I did get about moderate projection, which means it does push off the skin for the first few hours, maybe like 3 hours or so, until it starts coming very close to the skin, like a skin scent for up to the 6 hour mark if you apply on skin, like I've said. So average projection with way below average longevity from XX Elixir. And guys, this is an Elixir flanker. It should not perform like that at all. Elixir, when you think of Elixir, you think of like the strongest take on that fragrance. Think of something like Sauvage Elixir, which is by far the strongest Sauvage, hands down. So to be honest, it does not live up to the Elixir name whatsoever, and I don't know what I was expecting, knowing it was a John Varvatos and knowing that it had the Elixir name to it. I can't even say I'm really disappointed, guys. I almost thought this wouldn't perform. I know I'm kind of venting right now, but I'm honestly kind of mad about it, guys. Do not call a fragrance Elixir and perform under 8 hours. That's not okay. But I'm gonna wrap up the review here, guys. Let me know down below if you've tried the Elixir flanker, if you tried anything from John Varvatos, and which is your favorite from the entire house. They do have quite a few good ones, like I've said earlier in the review. But besides that, leave a like on the video, subscribe below if you haven't already, because what are you doing? I got you with daily fragrance content. You already know. See all of you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody.